What have I done to you to make you beat me 3 times? You have made a fool of me. If I had a sword in my hand, I would kill you right now.
Forgive me. I have sinned. I did not realize you were standing in the road to oppose me. If my journey displeases you, I will go back.
Balaam was a mysterious figure, known across many lands as a prophet, or more accurately, a diviner. People believed his blessings could bring prosperity, and his curses could bring ruin. Some feared him, others respected him, but all agreed on one thing: Balaam had spiritual influence. But Balaam was not an Israelite prophet like Moses or Samuel. He was from the region of Mesopotamia, near the Euphrates River. His fame had spread so widely that kings and rulers sought his help. They brought him gifts, hoping he could use his spiritual insight to tip the balance in their favor. Despite his foreign roots, Balaam knew something of the true God, the God of Israel. He had heard of God's mighty power, how he had brought the Israelites out of Egypt with plagues, parted the Red Sea, and fed them with manna in the desert. Balaam was no stranger to spiritual realities. Yet in Balaam's heart there was a battle between obedience to God and love for wealth and honor. Meanwhile, in Moab, King Balak was restless. He had seen how Israel defeated the Amorites. He had heard the rumors: wherever Israel camped, nations fell. Fear drove him to desperation, and in desperation he thought, if Balaam curses Israel, maybe their God will abandon them, and we will stand a chance. So Balak sent his first group of messengers to Balaam with treasures in hand. They pleaded, "Come with us, curse Israel for us, and you will be richly rewarded." But when Balaam prayed, God's answer was clear: do not go with them. Do not curse Israel, for they are blessed. The next morning, Balaam told the messengers, "Go back to your king. The Lord has refused to let me go with you." Balaam obeyed God this time, but deep inside, the promise of riches tugged at his heart. But Balak was not a man to give up easily. When the messengers returned with Balaam's refusal, Balak became even more determined. Perhaps, he thought, Balaam refused because my gifts were too small. I will send more princes, more nobles, and promise him even greater honor. Surely he cannot resist this time. And so, a second group of messengers arrived at Balaam's house, bearing even greater riches. They said, "Balak says, 'Let nothing stop you from coming to me. I will reward you richly and do whatever you say. Only come and curse this people.'" This was the true test of Balaam's heart. Would he obey God or chase after the glitter of wealth and the honor of kings? Balaam answered the princes carefully, "Even if Balak gave me his palace filled with silver and gold, I cannot do anything against the command of the Lord my God. Stay here tonight, and I will see what else the Lord says." That night God came to Balaam again. This time God said, "Since these men have come to summon you, go with them, but do only what I tell you." Balaam's heart leapt with excitement. He could finally go. Yet Balaam did not realize that God was testing him, watching closely to see whether he would obey fully or let greed lead his steps. Morning broke over Balaam's home. The air was heavy with anticipation. Outside, the noble messengers of King Balak waited impatiently, their horses stomping the ground, their eyes glistening with expectation. Today Balaam would decide, would he travel with them to Moab or send them away once more? Balaam stepped outside, his staff in hand. He looked at the princes of Moab, then at the treasures they carried. His heart beat faster. God had told him he could go, but with one condition: he must only speak what God commands. To Balaam it felt like a green light. Finally he could travel, be honored, and perhaps, just perhaps, gain riches too. So Balaam saddled his donkey. The princes watched as he loaded his few belongings onto the beast of burden. With a nod, Balaam climbed onto the donkey's back, and together they set off on the dusty road toward Moab. But as Balaam journeyed, something stirred in the unseen realm. The Lord was displeased. Not because Balaam went, for he had permitted it, but because Balaam's heart was swayed by greed. Balaam's motives were mixed, and his obedience was shallow. So God sent an angel to intercept him, sword in hand, to stand in his path. The donkey saw what Balaam could not. Just ahead, the angel of the Lord stood blazing with light, sword raised high. The donkey froze, her ears twitching nervously. Instead of continuing forward, she turned off the road into a field. Balaam was furious. He struck the donkey with his staff, shouting, "Get back on the road!" The donkey whimpered and obeyed, carefully stepping back onto the path. They traveled a little further, and soon the road narrowed between two vineyard walls. Again the angel of the Lord appeared, blocking the path. The donkey saw the blazing figure and panicked. Pressing tightly against the wall, she crushed Balaam's foot as she tried to squeeze by. Balaam howled in pain. Furious, he struck the donkey a second time, harder than before. To him, it was simple. The animal was being stubborn. Yet he still could not see what the donkey saw. The road grew even narrower until there was no room to turn left or right. Once again, the angel stood before them, sword ready to strike. This time, the donkey had no escape. Trembling, she lay down under Balaam, refusing to move. Balaam lost all patience. He beat the donkey for the third time, screaming in rage. And then, something miraculous happened. God opened the donkey's mouth. In a human voice, she spoke,
What have I done to you to make you beat me 3 times?
Balaam's hand trembled with rage as he lifted his staff again. His donkey lay helpless beneath him, refusing to rise. Balaam blinked, stunned. Yet in his anger and frustration, he hardly noticed the impossibility of what just happened. Instead, he barked back at the animal as if it were perfectly normal.
You have made a fool of me! If I had a sword in my hand, I would kill you right now!
The donkey, still miraculously speaking, replied with patience.
Am I not your donkey which you have ridden all your life until this day? Have I ever been in the habit of doing this to you?
No, he admitted quietly, and in that moment, the Lord opened Balaam's eyes. Suddenly, he saw what the donkey had seen all along. Just ahead, the angel of the Lord stood, blazing with light, sword drawn, eyes burning with holy fire. Fear gripped Balaam's heart. His knees buckled and he fell face down on the ground. The angel spoke in a voice like thunder.
The donkey saw me and turned away from me these 3 times. If she had not turned away, I would certainly have killed you by now, but spared her.
Balaam trembled, his arrogance shattered. Suddenly, the foolishness of his actions hit him like a storm.
Forgive me. I have sinned. I did not realize you were standing in the road to oppose me. If my journey displeases you, I will go back.
But the angel of the Lord answered, Go with the men, but speak only what I tell you. The command was clear. Balaam could go, but his tongue would not belong to him. Every word he spoke would be governed by God, whether blessing or curse, and so Balaam rose to his feet, humbled, shaken, and silenced. He looked at his donkey with new eyes. The faithful creature he had beaten was the very one who had saved his life. With slow steps, Balaam continued the journey, the donkey carrying him with quiet dignity, and the messengers of Balak riding silently beside them, unaware of the drama that had just unfolded. The desert sun burned high overhead as Balaam and his donkey finally approached the land of Moab. The long road stretched behind them, but the weight of the angel's words still pressed heavily on Balaam's mind. His heart was subdued, his spirit humbled. No longer did he ride with pride and expectation of riches. Instead, he rode with trembling awareness. He was under divine command. Meanwhile, King Balak had been waiting. He had sent out groups of messengers, he had spent treasures, and he was growing restless. When word reached him that Balaam was finally on the way, the king hurried to meet him. His royal caravan swept across the valley, banners flying, soldiers marching, all to welcome the prophet he believed would save Moab. Balak leapt from his chariot the moment he saw Balaam. His voice rang with both frustration and excitement. Did I not send messengers again and again to summon you? Why did you not come at once? Do you not realize I have the power to reward you greatly? Balaam's reply was steady, his voice low but resolute. "I have come now, but understand this, I cannot say whatever I please. I must speak only what God puts in my mouth." Balak blinked in surprise. He had expected eagerness, perhaps even flattery. Instead, he found a man bound by a greater master. Balak's plan, however, was already in motion. He led Balaam up to the high places of Baal, a mountaintop from which they could see the vast camp of Israel spread across the valley like a sea of tents. Balak's eyes burned with hatred. He whispered to Balaam, "From here, curse them for me." Balaam lifted his eyes to the horizon. The wind stirred his robes. He opened his mouth, and instead of a curse, blessings poured forth. "How can I curse those whom God has not cursed? How can I denounce those whom the Lord has not denounced? From the rocky peaks I see them, a people who dwell apart and do not consider themselves one of the nations. Who can count the dust of Jacob or number even a fourth of Israel?" Balak's face turned red with fury. He stomped his foot and shouted, "What have you done? I brought you to curse my enemies, but you have done nothing but bless them." Balaam simply answered, "Must I not speak what the Lord puts in my mouth?" Balak bit his lip, then quickly thought of another plan. "Come with me to another place," he said urgently, "where you can see only a portion of them. Perhaps there you can curse them for me." And so they moved again, from one hill to another, from one high place to the next. Each time, Balak prepared elaborate sacrifices. Each time he begged Balaam to curse Israel. And each time Balaam opened his mouth, but only blessings flowed. God would not allow a curse to touch his chosen people. Finally, after repeated failures, Balak's patience shattered. He struck his fists together and shouted, "I called you to curse my enemies, but you have blessed them these 3 times. Now leave at once. I would have rewarded you, but the Lord has kept you from your riches." Balaam looked back, his voice calm but heavy with truth. "Did I not tell you? I could only do what the Lord commands. These people are blessed, and no curse can touch them." With that, Balaam turned his donkey toward home, leaving Balak seething in despair. And so, we come to the heart of this incredible story. The tale of Balaam and his talking donkey is not just a strange event in history, it is a powerful lesson for us today. Think about it. Balaam was so blinded by his own desires, his greed, his ambition, his anger, that he couldn't see what was right in front of him. Even when a miracle happened, a donkey speaking, he still argued back instead of pausing to listen. How often do we act the same way? How many times do we ignore God's warnings, push past his guidance, and stubbornly try to force our own way, only to realize later that he was protecting us all along? The talking donkey reminds us of 3 powerful lessons. God can use anyone or anything to speak to us, even a donkey. We must stay humble and ready to listen. Obedience matters. God's path may not always align with our plans, but his way is always best. Anger and pride can blind us. When we let emotions control us, we risk missing the voice of God. So the next time life feels confusing, frustrating, or blocked, pause. Ask yourself, is God trying to get my attention? Remember Balaam, and remember his faithful donkey. God's voice is closer than you think, and he will always guide those who are willing to listen. The talking donkey is more than a miracle. It's a reminder that God's love, patience, and guidance never fail.